Hi everyone, welcome to my chaotic corner of the internet, and welcome to what will probably be the longest and the most ambitious video I will probably ever make on this channel, but I got a lot to talk about. So I decided I'm going to cover the entire timeline of my search for the mystery song, which is no longer a mystery, because I realized that I have the whole timeline. I was able to find all of these dates, and I bought several page-a-day calendars just for this video. It's okay, they were like $2 each. It's not like a big business expense. But look, I was able to find all these dates. I feel like my previous couple of videos didn't really do the search justice because a lot more happened, and now that I know the exact time frames all these things happened, I just want this video to be a much more comprehensive look into the entire search. So, these pages were taken from a shoe calendar, which does not tear off, disappointingly. It was just like loose pages. But anyway, our story begins on August 6th, 2021. That is when I saw a thread in oddly specific playlists on Facebook where somebody was looking for Viking sounding songs. Ironically, the song would not have fit the prompt because the person was looking for specifically chill Viking songs, not metal. So for whatever reason, even though the mystery song would not have fit the criteria, it was still the first one that came to mind. So I read this thread and this song popped into my head. The opening chords of the song popped into my head, and a name also popped into my head, and that name was Amidst Her Shadows by Clad in Darkness. I looked up Amidst Her Shadows by Clad in Darkness, only to find that that was not the song that I was looking for. And so, wrong way. On August 7th, 2021, that's when I learned how to play the song on guitar. Not very well, but still. And I'm actually really impressed with like how well I remembered how it sounded. Like, I know that my rendition of it wasn't perfect at all, but the fact is that I'm really impressed with my memory regardless. I know I didn't make it sound the way that I remembered it sounding, but in my head, I actually had it pretty spot on. So what I did is I took my guitar tuner and I hummed every chord I could think of into it, and then I wrote down what those chords were, and then I learned how to play those chords, and that's how I learned how to play the song. And the only reason why I decided to learn how to play the song is that I was going to post it on r/tip of my tongue. Now, if you don't know, Tip of My Tongue is a subreddit where people try to help each other remember things such as like, what movie was this scene from? What book had this sentence in it? What word is this describing? And for my purposes, what song is this? And so to post on Tip of My Tongue, you can't just put, it goes do-do-do-do. You have to like actually hum it into a Vocaroo message, or what I ended up doing was learning how to play the song, posting it on YouTube, and then posting it to the Tip of My Tongue. This post generated quite a few answers, quite a few interesting paths to go down, but ultimately, the song was not one of the things people suggested. I guess that from there, I kind of forgot about the search until 2022. And yes, this calendar is called You Are Doing a Freaking Great Job. Like I said, it was $2. Let's find our first entry, shall we? Forgot about the quest until Wednesday, September 28th, 2022. According to my calendar, I think that's when I went into the office because I had to get a new laptop because the S key fell off my old laptop, and we couldn't fix the keyboards. They just gave me a whole new laptop. So while they were setting up my laptop, I was sitting there not doing anything, and my phone died. So I was really bored, and I started going through my work backpack, and it was in that work backpack I found these two iPods. This is the one that I can still get into and it still works, but it doesn't have the song on it. This is the one that I still can't get into. Actually, it's dead again, but I still can't get into it. I have no idea what my passcode would have been. Like, I know I think it was supposed to be 4 numbers. I tried every possible 4-number combination that I could have thought of, and it still wouldn't let me in. Now it won't let me try anymore. So I still have no idea. A whole month went by, I'm not sure why, but on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022, according to my Amazon purchase history, that's when I got the chargers for those iPods, because I didn't have chargers anymore. I listened to everything, well, I listened to everything on the one I could get into, and then I don't think I ever got into the other one, but I listened to everything on the one I could get into. The song wasn't on there. Then I remembered that there was a secret third iPod. This one. The iPod mini from roughly 2006. So, it was on October 28th, 2022 that I went over to my parents' house after work. I found this iPod and I charged it. When I first charged it, I was able to get in and listen to the songs. But because I didn't know what the song was called, I was going through and listening to literally every single song on this iPod. And I think what happened is that one of the songs itself was corrupted. And so it caused the entire iPod to like lock up and freeze. And so then I took it home and I plugged it in again. And then on October 29th, 2022 is when my friend Ashley sent me the article for how to find hidden songs on an iPod. Because Apple, not only do they hide songs on iPods, so you can't just like open it like a USB drive and see it, but they also encrypt them. And so like you can get in by selecting like see hidden or view hidden files, I think it was. But even then the file names are all like BZXQ and stuff like that. But I was able to get in and I was able to look at the files. And then, as y'all know if you saw my other videos, I made the mistake of not immediately copying the files on this iPod and pasting them on my laptop. What I did instead was I tried to listen to every song on the iPod, and then the same thing happened where it like locked up and died. And this time, it was showing me this like dead face. It had a picture on the screen of a dead iPod, and there was a support URL at the bottom, but like, it's a little bit obsolete. iPods are obsolete by this point. I mean, this bad boy was made in 2006. So I think I did go to the website, but there wasn't a lot on there. What do I do? Is this a twofer? No, okay. On November 28th, it's like a full month later, I was thinking about the song again, and I searched for a MySpace archive. So for those of you who don't know, MySpace used to be a social media platform. It was great. You could have a top 8 and you could like kick your friends out of it if you got into a fight. But most importantly, to me at least, there were a lot of bands on MySpace, and I was pretty sure that I heard the song on MySpace, and that was kind of solidified by the fact that Clad in Darkness is also a band I knew from MySpace. And so I was pretty sure that the song was from MySpace. I was pretty sure the song was from like 2006-ish. And the thing about MySpace is that they were storing a lot of bands' music. And in, I think 2016, they had a big server crash when they were trying to migrate from one server to another. I don't know anything about computers, don't ask me. All I know is that they lost a lot of music. And some people speculate that they did it intentionally, like they messed up their own servers because they were storing so much on there and they couldn't afford to pay for the bandwidth anymore. But that's just speculation. Regardless of what you choose to believe, everything that was on MySpace from before 2016 is lost. But there are people out there who are keeping archives of lost MySpace music. And so I was looking through one of those. I went on Instagram Live and I was like playing every song, because again, I didn't know what the song was called. That didn't lead me anywhere, but it was a very interesting journey. It was also during that day that I was talking to a friend of mine. I mentioned the iPod problem to him, and he was like, oh, that sounds like you just need to replace the battery. And so that's what planted that idea into my head. On December 9th, 2022, my dad and I went to see Catatonia and Cellar Darling in concert. Put a pin in that, we'll come back to that. So that's it for 2022. Now we're getting into 2023. We have a Pride calendar, love that. So the holidays happened, the end of the year happened. I just kind of got really busy, but then on Friday, June 2nd, 2023 is when I went on MySpace and I went on Facebook and posted like, hey, would anyone be down to help me try to replace an iPod mini battery? And my friend Eric, bless him, he not only said yes, but he said it sounded fun because I am first of all bad at following directions, and secondly, I have a very low tolerance for frustration. So me trying to replace the iPod battery by myself, I don't think that would have went well. So on June 12th, a Monday, after work, I went over to Eric's house and I brought the package that I'd received. I had gone to ifixit.com, and again, I'm not sponsored by them, they just have really good customer service, and I always say that because it was actually really exemplary. So I bought what I thought was an iPod mini battery as well as a toolkit from them. But I got all the way to Eric's house and it turns out that I bought an iPad mini battery, not an iPod, so it was like way too big. So we couldn't do it that day, but I emailed iFixit saying, hey, can I keep the toolkit and like, you know, can I return the battery? And they like immediately responded and were like, yeah. So I was able to send the battery back to them, and then I bought the iPod mini battery off of eBay. I would have bought it off of iFixit, but they didn't have any by that point. And so that same day, I actually went home and looked through my entire like leather CD binder. I was looking for like any mixed CDs or any CDs that the song would have been on. And I went on live for that as well. But unfortunately, we didn't find the song that day. Phew! On June 21st, I got the iPod mini battery. Also, this entry is really cute. It says gay is good, and it is. I got the iPod mini battery from eBay. That's it. That's the whole day. Then, on June 24th, according to my calendar, that's the day that Eric helped me replace the iPod battery. Now, I already made a video where I put all the footage from that if you really want to see the iPod mini battery replacement process. It's pretty interesting, actually. I helped by reading the directions and offering moral support. And most importantly, I got to hang out with Eric, who's a really cool guy. I got to meet his family. Like, it was really fun. But we replaced the battery only to have it still throw up the dead face. So then we looked at the dead face and we learned that the dead face can be a sign of a bad logic board. So I bought the new logic board off eBay as well. So I know that I got the logic board on June 29th, but I don't know when we replaced it. I know that it was in July. I got bronchitis pretty bad for a few weeks there, so I know we had a delay for that reason. But we did replace the logic board and it was the same thing. It still wasn't working. After I replaced the logic board, I went home and I plugged the iPod into my laptop again. And this time I had one window come up that said, oh, you plugged an iPod into the D drive. And then I had another window pop up that said like, please insert something into the D drive. I opened iTunes and iTunes was like, hey, you plugged in a corrupted iPod. I can't play this. You may have to restore it. So in other words, the iPod, despite our best efforts, was still not working. I'm pretty sure at this point that the problem was with its hard drive. No amount of anything we could have done would have made it usable. We'd already replaced 2 of the major parts and it still wasn't working. So the hard drive was pretty much all it could be, from what I understand. But it doesn't matter anyway. On July 12th, I decided to post in the Facebook group, what is this thing? I posted about my mystery song in there and I got one reply, and it was a guy saying, this sounds like the Violent Femmes. And I was like, clearly I did not play this very well on guitar. Definitely not the Violent Femmes. On July 15th, I went through another MySpace archive. Now the thing with the MySpace archives is that MySpace music usually includes a lot of metalcore and a lot of emo and stuff like that. So like, I did find a couple of actually okay like metal bands on there, but for the most part it was just like emo-core, metalcore, deathcore, stuff like that. But I went through another MySpace archive. It was fun. The song wasn't on there. I also found a YouTube channel called OG MySpace, and the song was not on there either because of the same reasons. It was mostly metalcore and stuff like that. I did send messages to like the person who ran the archive as well as the person who runs the OG MySpace YouTube account. Neither one of them ever got back to me, which is fine. On July 17th of this year, I made the video talking about my journey so far and trying to find the song, and I uploaded it, and I was still considering other options. Some of the options I was considering included getting hypnotized to try to bring back my lost memory of the song. I considered getting people together who were better at playing instruments and making a proper recreation of the song, like better than I could do by myself. And at some point during this, I started to think about mixed CDs again. But we'll get to that later. July 18th, I got into my old Last.fm account. But it wasn't my old one, so of course the song wasn't on there either. Regardless, I still combed through the whole Last.fm account from like 2015 through like 2017. I mean, it was like whole AJJ albums, whole Tame Impala albums, a surprising amount of Os Rotten, and like 2 Lasgo songs over and over again. So it was kind of a nice trip down memory lane. And the funny thing is that during that time, I was like, I don't like metal anymore. But I did still play This Old Cabin by Agalloch like at least once a month. Like that was the one song that survived my, oh, I don't like metal phase. I think it was also around this time that I made a playlist on Spotify of songs that were similar to the secret song because I was hoping that it would suggest my mystery song to me, but no. July 26th was the day that I decided I was going to go through a whole list of every American atmospheric black metal band. Because for some reason I thought the band was going to be American. And so I went through this whole list. Halfway through going through the whole list, I realized that most of the artists are from 2014, because I think that was like the atmospheric black metal boom or something, I don't know. And so then I decided to cut out the middleman and go on Encyclopedia Dramatica. What? Encyclopedia Metallum, rather? And I looked for every single atmospheric black metal band from the US from before 2006. And surprise, none of them were my song. But I felt like I was being productive, and that's what matters. So then the next day I did the same thing, but with Canadian atmospheric black metal bands as well as American and Canadian post-black metal bands, because again, I was still thinking about Clad in Darkness, and Clad in Darkness was listed as post-black metal. So I was thinking maybe it's post-black metal. But no, didn't find the song. So then, July 30th, 2023 was the Great Enlightenment. Remember how I was talking about mixed CDs? At some point I made a Facebook post and an Instagram post being like, hey, if I've ever burned a mixed CD for you, will you please dig it up and tell me what's on it? But nobody who I'd made a mixed CD for responded to that, which is fine. I did have a friend who was like, will you make me one though? And I was like, yeah. So it was while I was in the process of making a CD for my friend B that I went through the CD cases. Now here's the thing. I didn't explain this very well in my last video about this because I was too excited. But not only do I have undiagnosed but probable ADHD, so I'm already really disorganized. When I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to listen to uncensored music, but I was really obsessed with System of a Down, but they cussed a lot in their songs. So one of my friends had burned me one of their CDs. And in order to prevent my parents from finding it, as if they'd be looking through my CD cases, I don't know, I put it in the Teletubbies, the album CD case. And that kind of started this obsession with like trolling myself by putting CDs in the wrong cases. And so I was thinking about that and I was like, maybe I should look through every individual CD case and see if what's in there is actually what's supposed to be in there. So I found the Johnny Cash Super Hits CD. The front is like all sorts of mangled. And inside of it were 2 CDs. There was one that my friend Clover burned for me. And then there was one I burned for myself called Soul Catharsis. When I saw that, my hands started shaking and my heart started pumping because I realized in that moment that I didn't know what was on Soul Catharsis. And so I started listening to it and realized I should probably go on Instagram Live because I usually do that when I'm doing my little quests. At around like the 4th song, I went on live. And if you've been following the story, you know. Track number 7 on Soul Catharsis was the song I've been looking for the whole time. And I still can't believe it. It feels like a dream. The only way I can explain it is one time when I was like a young teen, I had this dream that I bought a Dimmu Borgir CD from Toys R Us. And I like insisted that my parents take me to Toys R Us the next day. And I think they actually did, and I think we did go there. And obviously I didn't find the Dimmu Borgir CD at Toys R Us. This discovery feels like finding a Dimmu Borgir CD at Toys R Us. It was monumental, it was huge. I was shaking, I was hyperventilating, I was screaming. Honestly, listening to the video of me finding the song, as I have done over and over again, because again, I still can't believe it and I'm trying to like let it sink in, I'm annoying. I was like screaming at the absolute top of my lungs. But I mean, it makes sense because I was like really excited about this discovery. So I ended the live, I Shazammed the song, I looked up the band like ever so slightly, and the one thing I saw was, okay, this artist is from Switzerland. They're listed as black metal on Encyclopedia Metallum, and they're listed as folk metal on Bandcamp. So no wonder I didn't find them. And then I made the video. And then I did more research, and I learned that Forest of Fog was the solo project of Evo Henze from Cellar Darling, who I had seen with Catatonia in December. I was in the same room with the person who made my mystery song, and I had no idea. So then on July 31st, I messaged Evo Henze, and I was like, oh my god, I've been looking for your song for 2 years. Not only did he actually respond, which like is always just such a huge shock to me whenever I reach out to musicians I like, if they respond to me, I'm just like, oh my god. Not only that, but he was the nicest person. Like literally top 5 nicest musicians I've ever talked to. It was the best possible outcome. Evo, if you're watching this, thank you. Sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for the role you played in all of this. Thank you for having made Forest of Fog way back in the day. And thank you for being so like nice to me, a random person who reached out to you about this mystery. And so yeah, that is the end of the journey. 2 years with like a 1-year gap and then a 6-month gap, but still, it took me 2 years to find this song. And it's like it was handed to me in a golden wrapped package from the gods. Like, it's only been a week since I found the song. I check my stats for Spotify every day because I'm curious about it. It shot up to like my number 9 of all time. That's how much I've listened to it since I found it, because I'm obsessed. It still slaps. It goes so hard. If you haven't heard Feuerstrom by Forest of Fog yet, what are you doing? I want to thank everyone who has been involved in this, even slightly. Everyone who's let me talk their ear off about the mystery, all my friends who've helped me along the way, Eric, Ashley, everyone who's done anything to help me find the song. Even though ultimately I found it on my own, I probably would have given up a long time ago if I hadn't gotten encouragement from all the people I got encouragement from. So I do deeply appreciate every single one of you. We did it. Fist bump, we did it. I can't believe I was actually able to find all these dates. The amount of record keeping I do for somebody who is like usually really disorganized is actually really funny. I can't believe I was able to like find all of this. My favorite part of the social aspect of this whole experience has been hearing people talk about their mysteries, because everyone out there has a weird piece of lost media they're looking for. Like, everyone does. And so my favorite thing was talking to people about my mystery and them sharing their mysteries, and us bonding over the fact that like every human being is looking for some sort of weird media thing. And I hope everyone solves their mysteries in their lifetime. Genuinely. I hope you all get to hear that song again or watch that thing again. But yeah, that's the entire mystery song saga. Thank you for your time. Thank you for supporting me through this journey. I'll see you when I see you. Have a wonderful day.